If you've ever made a New Year's resolution or set a goal for yourself and gave up shortly after, this video is for you. Welcome to Get It Together, and if you're new here, this channel is just me trying to figure out how to get my life together and sharing the tips and lessons I learned along the way. And as you may have gathered from the intro, this video right here is unlocking the secret of how to actually stick with the plan of achieving whatever goals you set for yourself. This is a third video in the mini-series, and if you haven't already, be sure to check out, I'll link right up here, the first two videos on how to properly set goals and how to design a process to set yourself up with success in order to achieve the goal. In those videos, we saw that there are three pillars to support achieving your goals. The first one being process design, which we covered earlier. Today, we're talking about the second pillar, which is incentive awareness. This is all about understanding why people don't stick with their goals and the questions we need to ask ourselves to know what it's going to take for us to act and act consistently. As usual, like most of my videos, there are three parts to this one. Part one is understanding what this pillar is and why it's important. Part two is how to discover your incentive to act. And step three is how to leverage that incentive to give you the best possible shot of achieving your goals. Diving right into section one, which is what this pillar is and why it's so important. And this pillar of identifying your personal incentives for action is so vital. Because whenever we actually stop pursuing our resolutions or goals, it's because we didn't feel compelled enough to continue to put action to desires. Now, the real purpose for understanding this incentive to act is specifically to build the habits required to achieve your goals. If you remember for the last video where we talked about process design, remember that in that process we set milestones towards the big goal. But inside each of those milestones there were individual tasks that we have to do. And it's these individual tasks that actually require us to act. And repeating these tasks is essentially building the habit. And so it stands to reason if we understand our own personal incentives to act, then leveraging that incentive will enable us to actually build the habit to continue. Again, the reason why this is so important is simply to exercise self-awareness to build the habit. And once we build the habits, then the results themselves will be incentive enough. So let's move on to section two, which is how to actually identify your incentive to act. Behavioral psychologists are obsessed with this. Ultimately, our incentive to do anything unnatural, which, let's face it, whenever we set a new goal and it requires us to do new things, feels unnatural. And incentives are all based on either rewards or punishments. So some great questions to ask yourself to uncover your own incentives are questions like, what am I afraid of? What do I really want? What can't I afford to lose? And when was the last time I did something I really didn't want to do, but what compelled me to do it anyways? We'll be continuing on with the example that we used for this entire series so far, which is everything I did to try and support the goal of doing keto and intermittent fasting strictly for the past 3.5 months. Truth is, I just didn't trust myself to stick with it, and so it was really important for me to find my incentive to act. And for me personally, I've known for quite a long time already that the fear of financial loss is the most powerful motivator for me to keep sticking with the plan. It's definitely a punishment-based incentive. The amount that I have to pony up would be something that would actually hurt badly if I were to lose it. And so for starters, in the first 60-day challenge, the financial loss incentive was set at $200. But I also wanted a fail-safe, so I found something that I love that I can never replace. And that was just a small bag of my father's knickknacks that I kept after he passed away. And it would absolutely wreck me if I were to lose that. And so now that I've identified what my personal incentive to act is, now I have to leverage it, moving on to section 3, which is how to take that self-awareness of the incentive to act and make it actually work to support your goals. This step was actually pretty easy for me to figure out. If you've been with me for the keto and intermittent fasting series, and actually series before that, you already know that I ask your help to help keep me accountable. I made it publicly known right here on YouTube that every single day I'd have to post my ketogenic meals as well as a tip to the stories on my Instagram account, and if I failed to do so, the very first person to call me out would get $200 just like that. Similarly, I gave that little bag of my dad's knickknacks to a friend and just told her to keep it at her place. And if I failed to send her photos of all of my ketogenic meals every single day, she agreed that she would throw that little bag in the garbage. In other words, especially at the early stages, I had to ask myself, is taking my eye off the prize and not staying laser focused important enough for me to lose this? Is more important than the memory of my father? And I gotta say, both of those incentives worked great. If you've been following me on Instagram, you'll know that from day 1 to day 60, I posted both of my keto meals every single day, as well as a tip and a lesson that I learned. And from day 61 to day 90, when I transitioned to just one meal a day, I posted my single meal every single day, as well as a time-lapse clip of me doing a 7-minute workout. And I did that for 90 days straight without fail, and it's thanks to you guys as well as my friend. The key for me is to make it both public and personal. So even starting a private Facebook group and inviting friends, frenemies, and family will make it impossible for you to skirt from the commitment because of how public it is. And so far we've set a real proper goal in video 1, designed the process for us to achieve our goal in video 2, and today in video 3 have identified the incentive to act and how to leverage that incentive. The next video is the third and final pillar of supporting us to achieve our goals, and I'm really looking forward to share that with you. If you got value out of this video, be sure to hit like and subscribe. If you have any questions or want to debate anything, hit me up in the comments below, and I'll see you guys in the next one.